Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Robot Damashii, or Robot Spirits, Gundam DEATHSCYTHE-HELL. This is the second season version of DEATHSCYTHE. It is number 151. This is the one that's all big and powerful compared to the first one by a significant margin. Some display options are on the back with some words that I can't read, but it's kind of a cool packaging nonetheless. And then if you want to see the side art, which I've been getting, they're all getting like dinged up in the shipping and from the factory. But oh well. Okay, let's look at the actual figure. This is how he comes in the tray. He does not have his cloak or wings or whatever those are called. I can't remember the name offhand. But you can see the tray does have them displayed nicely. I don't want to tilt it too much, but there's all of his goodness right there. So let's go ahead and look at the figure, and then we'll get everything attached to him and all of his accessories looked at. So he stands roughly about 5.5 inches to the top of his head. These things are a little higher, and of course the wings will go a lot higher once we put those on. But so he's pretty much right in line with the average size for the wingsuits, so that's pretty cool with me. He's definitely one of the more monotone suits. If it wasn't for the yellow on his chest and his crown there, then he would have almost no color at all. The wings do help a little bit, but it's actually a really nice look for him. I do like it. It really makes the yellow pop because of his darkness, and then having the green energy effects for the weapons is really nice as well. Now, one of the things I was worried about when I was buying this guy was that I wasn't going to like these bits right here when he doesn't have the wings on if you wanted to take them off, and I don't like them. But the good news is if you want to take off that whole thing, and I don't remember if that ever happens in the series, they just pop right off. It's just a little ball peg that holds them on. So you can just take off both of the shoulder pad things pretty easily. I'm pretty sure they made it that way on purpose because of how it's made. It pops off nice and simply. And then you have a look that's very reminiscent of the original DEATHSCYTHE, which I might be picking up fairly soon. Well, whenever it comes out. I don't know. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go with the Season 1 suits or not. But this guy does look really good with or without these. We'll leave these off for now. The head, really well done. The detail looks great. I love it. I love the white lining they did on there. It's not 100% perfect, but to the naked eye it looks pretty darn good. And then the whole crown and just the face and everything, it just looks just the way I wanted it to, so I'm really happy with that. The articulation for the head, standard double ball peg for the head, and then a double ball peg for the neck as well. It is a little bit limited due to the collar piece here, but it's not so bad. You can still get pretty much all the posing done that you need. Cat, don't do it. Don't you do it. I gotta move stuff for the cat. Okay, we're good. Cat's somewhat out of the way. Alright, so he does have the butterfly, I almost said the butterfly effect. Bad movie reference. The butterfly joint there, which works really well on this guy. Look at that. You can really get the arms out. If you lift the shoulder pad, you can bring the arms almost completely forward. That's really, really well done. I like that a lot. Then you have the ball peg that connects the arm to the butterfly piece, so full range of motion there. The shoulder pads are hinged individually. They have these little thrusters in here to fill the gap. They look really nice. We have the shoulder hinge as well. Doesn't have as much of a range of motion as I would like. I'm not sure if it's a separate piece, but it definitely looks, or a different piece, but it definitely looks like the shape is a bit different from some of that we've seen before. It does work okay though, and once you use that little ball joint as well, that ball peg, you can get the arm up no problem. And in addition to that, instead of just a bicep swivel, we have a whole ball peg going on down here, so you have extra posability in that. You get the swivel and the hinge. So I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I think I might be more of a fan of just a swivel with better range of motion up top, but it's not bad either way. It's just a little different. We have the double jointed elbows, full range there, no problem at all. And then for the wrists, we have standard double ball peg. A little bit of a different design than most of the other ones. Let's see how the hands look on there. There's a bit of a gap. It's not huge, but there is a gap. However, the posability is not too bad at all. So that's pretty nice. The torso, we have a pretty good ab crunch. It leans pretty far forward, not so far back. So, and it's weird though, because the way it's made, there's a pretty good sized gap in the front there, unless you have him bent over about halfway. So maybe that's how he's supposed to look, but he definitely looks bent over. So I'm not so sure about that. It might be just a bit of an error in the design, or an error in my thinking. There is no sideways movement for the torso other than where the torso connects to the crotch. That's a really tight joint, so use some caution there. You might want to lube that up a little bit, but it does lean back really far there, lean forward pretty far as well, and then we do have side to side and a full swivel. For the skirt pieces, standard joint for the front, that little ball peg that pegs into the main part. Then for the side pieces, pretty limited, definitely not as much range of motion as I would like, but if you force them just before they pop off, you can get them pretty high, and you can get the legs out pretty far. They will pop off though, so be careful. Of course, that's just a ball peg, so you can bring it back as well if you want to. The back part of the skirt is stationary on this guy. I believe the only one to date that's going to have that moving is the wing that's coming out very soon from the first season, the original wingsuit. Hero suit before he destroyed it. He does have the ball peg hips, a little bit loose, kind of like the Wing Zero. Not loose enough to be a problem, but definitely not quite as tight as I'd like them. Thigh swivel there is no problem. Double jointed knees with the knee pad on top, which is posable, so I'd probably leave it something like that, but you can do it however you like. Range of motion is not the best, but it's pretty darn good. Not enough to complain about by any means. For the ankle, we have the ankle guard that is on a hinge and a ball peg, so that'll move around just as much as we need it to. It has the ankle hinge that actually comes down out of the lower leg, so that's a hinge there for the side-to-side motion, and then it connects via ball peg into the foot, so full range of motion there. That gives you a pretty good forward and back. And then the toe itself has the hinge going up and down and the swivel in the foot. Again, I don't really care for that design so much, so I would use the hinge from the ankle for the ankle rocker, but if you need even more, you can just rotate it at the toe. That's completely up to you though. He does have really nicely designed feet. He's one of the, at least the only one that comes to mind right now as far as having relatively unique foot designs or boot designs, so that's pretty cool. Let me pick up that side skirt that's shot off. We'll pop that back on so we get the whole look of the figure. So as you can see, the base figure, aside from a little bit of an issue with the torso, which as you can see standing right there, it's not so big of a deal, but it's just kind of odd the way that's designed. It's a standard, robot Damashii wing Gundam figure. There's really nothing too out of the ordinary for him. He fits in just fine. Alright, so we need to put these pieces back on in order to show you the cloak or whatever that's called. It's escaping me at the moment, so those just peg right back in, and now we have to put these on. So what we have here is three main hinges. These are on just standard hinges going front to back, and they go all the way up, of course down as far as you need them to go, plus some. And then this piece is on a ball peg and a hinge. So the peg is up there, and then this is just like a standard hinge. So you can do that however you want. And all you have to do is, you see that peg hole, that pegs into or over onto that piece right there. And the best way to do it is get it started, and then you probably want to push on this part of the hinge, like grab this right here and put your finger on the back side, and you can get that in just like that. We'll do the same on this side so that he's symmetrical and balanced, so get that lined up. And with my left hand I can't do it quite as well, but there we go, we've got it in. So you can have them fully opened if you want to, which looks just fine. Bring the shoulder ones up or down, that's up to you. It doesn't look nearly as bad as I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to look really clunky, but it looks pretty decent. Not so bad at all. And if you want to, they do fold down all the way and line up just fine and allow you to snap them together. You see there's a little tab on that side and a tab hole on that side, and then boom, snap together like a boss, right, like that. Same thing on the back, just snap those together. It's really just a tab, there's no snap effect. And then you can adjust the shoulder pieces however you want. And you can actually align the whole thing however you want due to the hinges on the shoulders, but that's good enough for the review. I mean, he's pretty limited in the posability there, so I would say not to pose him with his pieces going down. It's just going to really limit the fun of the figure. Okay, so that's that for that. Say that a few more times in that sentence. Here's his backpack. It has a little bit of a new design. It has the two round tabs and then the pinchy tab, and that just goes right there in his back, hides those screw holes. If I can line it up. Use a little bit of force to get that on there, but then it fits on really nicely. Looks good. The thruster back here is on a ball peg, but you don't really have a huge range of motion, just side to side. Just a little bit up and down, but you're probably not going to use that too much anyway. These guys here, let's get those visible. These things here that are connected to the back, I don't remember if they're supposed to or not, but they can swivel down and function as rear thrusters. Again, I don't remember if that's how they're supposed to go, but they are definitely meant to go like this, so you can do that. At least I think they are. Okay, so there is the backpack, and if you need to use one of the display stages, the Act 5 or even an Act 4, whatever you want to use, whatever you have, this just slides over. You see how that is kind of like pinching right there? That just slides over down here, which is kind of odd that it's that design. I probably put it on the wrong way, but that just connects down there. So I don't know if I like that. I think I would much rather have it just built into the backpack, but whatever, it's all good, right? Okay, let's look at the shield and all of its coolness. If I can get it out of the package, use my knife, and there we go. So this thing is really well done. Every bit is sculpted. That's not just paintwork, it's sculpted and painted really well. These guys don't move, but they have that really nice gunmetal paint. These do. They open all the way up and they close all the way. So if you want to just put it on his arm like that, standard round peg, and that goes right there on his arm like that. It doesn't need a swivel because it's just a round peg and you can pose it however you like. So that looks very cool like that. Just really ties in nicely with the rest of the character, with the rest of the figure. But that's not quite cool enough. So let's open these up a little bit, or all the way. Let's just do it all the way. And you can put this in. Notice it has a cutout triangle piece coming all the way forward to here. That is only on one side. So even though it looks like it can go in either way, it has to go in with that facing up to accommodate that golden part. So that snaps in really well. It looks like it's all one piece. And then he has the blade that goes on the shield like that, energy blade. Or maybe he shoots, I don't remember. Man, it's been a while. I need to rewatch the Wing series. But there it is. That looks awesome. I love this guy's design. Once you start adding stuff to him, all of the dark really ties in nicely with the green and the yellows and the reds. So he just looks really, really cool. All right, now let's look at, we have 3 parts to, well, 4, 5, 6 parts to his scythe. So we have the handle piece, which is just the handle piece, and that is meant for going back here. You can put that in there, and then this part goes, it's supposed to go all the way through, I think, to connect to this. I'm not sure. The handle part goes in. How do we do that? Doesn't look like it's gonna go. We'll pull out the directions in a second. So we can just look at the actual handles that are fully extended. We have the bent one and the straight one. Bent one is just for more of a dynamic pose. So if you want them swinging, you use the bent one. If you want it straight, you use the straight one. Pretty simple. So that just pegs in right there. The little thruster thing, again, it's stationary, but it's painted nicely. Bring those up and forward, and that's where we're going to connect. Get out of here, cat. That's where we're going to connect the energy blades. We have the big one on the bottom. I hope I grabbed the big one. I wasn't really paying attention. Watching out for the cats. They're going to steal my stuff. And then we put the little one on the top, if memory serves. And again, the translucent green plastic is just purdy. It looks really, really good. It's a little darker at the tip than at the base. Really translucent, but still really vibrant. So that's awesome. And it stands really tall. It's way bigger than even the wings are. So that's going to be kind of a hard one to display nicely. But I think you guys will probably be able to manage if you put a little effort in. I have on this hand one of the accessory or replacement hands, which is the angled hand with the thumb on it. Just like, who was it? Was it Wing Zero or was it Heavy Arms? It was Wing Zero, I believe. He had the thumb that came out like this so that he could hold the sword at an angle, or the beam saber. So the peg actually is at an angle there, and it lets him hold it much nicer. So that's the one alternate hand. Of course, this is the fist hand here. Let's look at the other hands we have available to us. So where's the other fist hand? We'll get that out of the way. So we have 2 fist hands total. They look like that, only the thumb's on the other side for the other hand. Here's the other thumb hand. You can see again there how the peg sticks out of the bottom, which lets him hold the weapon facing forward more. We have 2 standard gripping hands that'll hold it nice and straight. And then we have the cool jazz hand pose finger hands. So the usual spread. Okay, I'm gonna grab the instructions really quick and see if I can figure out what the deal is with that back piece. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so I figured out my problem. The problem was that I was thinking that the little tabby part goes in the handle, which it does work, by the way. And I think personally that looks better, and this way it has a handle at the bottom, but that's not right. According to the directions, you put that part in there. Stop it, cat. Stop it, cat. So if that is like that, then that explains the back part just fine. This will be collapsed so that it can be folded up. And then on the back part, we have this that goes all the way through. And then this can connect to it. Nice and simple. Just like that. So that explains that. Now we have no issues. I should point out, this plastic, while it's fairly flexible and fairly nicely made, it will bend. So when you're trying to snap that into a hand, you're definitely better off sliding it through the hand like this than trying to snap the fingers over it. Alright guys, there it is. There is DEATHSCYTHE-HELL. Thanks for watching. I will do a comparative review of the main Season 2 wingsuits coming up very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And keep an eye out for other figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.